How's it going, everybody? Thank you very much. I'm Orlando Ruiz Jr. Welcome to another classic movie review. This is my review of a great Western that came out in 1953. This movie is in color. This was directed by George Stevens and is based on a book by Jack Schaefer. The name of the film is Shane. This movie is a really good story. This is one of the best Westerns to come out of the 50s, and the acting in this film is superb. You have Alan Ladd as the title character, who is a man that wanders onto a homestead in 1889 and in Wyoming, and he's a guy that's given practically no backstory or background. He's just this very cool, very well mannered guy who is very civil and polite with these people who he asks, is it okay if I pass through? And you got Van Heflin and Jean Arthur as Joe and Marion. Very nice couple. They have a little boy, little Joe. And right away, the little boy takes kind of a liking to Shane and vice versa. Van Heflin and Jean Arthur have a natural chemistry between the two of them, and so they really do feel like a couple, and you actually care for them and their little boy. From the very first interaction that you see between the two characters of Shane and Joe, you see a goodness in both men in the way that they are two strangers trying to be sort of kind and civil with each other as one is passing through another man's land. And you see that right away Joe is a good soul, and you see Shane is a good guy the way he talks to his boy. And so there is sort of a natural kind of friendship that begins at the very moment that they meet. And uh, there is a moment when men on horses from afar start to approach and close in on them, and these guys are holding guns. And so um, when Joe sees this, he just assumes that Shane is with these guys and looks at Shane a little differently. And Shane doesn't really take too much offense because he kind of understands. So he sort of starts to back away and walk away as Joe sort of insinuates he'd like him to leave. And so Shane starts to walk away for a second, and then the guys on horses and guns sort of get closer, and then they get close enough to uh, be close enough to shoot Joe, basically. And that's when Shane steps in and lets his presence known. It's a very good scene because right away in the first 10 minutes of the movie, you learn a lot about these characters. You learn that Joe is a father that will do anything for his family and will stand up to these men even though he's outnumbered, and that he's brave enough to do what he has to do. And you also learn that Shane is a guy that will even help out a stranger if it looks like they need help. And you see that the two of these guys are basically good guys. And you also learn a lot about the antagonist in this scene as well because he shows up, and he very much pretty much states his motivation in this little monologue that is very clear about the way he feels. Yes, the bad guy Rufus, he thinks that he is way more entitled than the younger generation, that even though they legally own land, that they don't deserve it because they weren't among the first there that sort of helped to get all the Indians out of the way and make sort of the first settlements. And since this older guy lived through all that, he feels more entitled. There's a very good scene where Shane goes into town to get some supplies, and he decides to go into a bar for a drink and gets a soda pop for the little boy who is there with them. And because he orders a soda pop, these guys make fun of him. Turns into kind of an altercation, and there's two of these where the first time he ignores the first one, and then the second time he's being harassed by the same guy, and he really lets him have it. And it's a pretty good little fight scene, actually. And there's some good ones in this movie. Van Heflin's character Joe even gets in on some action, and he's pretty good in some fight scenes. And there's even a scene where his character and Shane's character go at it. It's pretty entertaining to watch because just watching the two of them fight other people is entertaining, but then seeing the two of them, seeing how both of them can fight, and then you kind of wonder who's gonna get the better of the other because it's pretty evenly matched as far as fights go. Something I definitely got to mention is the main villain. Once he finds out that Joe has kind of a gunslinger on his side that's going to help him and the other homesteaders out. He decides to get his own gunslinger to sort of be the antithesis of the Shane character. Jack Palance as Jack Wilson is very, very creepy. He only has a few lines. He doesn't even say much, but when he does talk, you listen because it's Jack Palance, and I've always enjoyed him whenever I saw him in whatever it was, whether it was Batman or Tango and Cash or City Slickers or whatever. Jack Palance is a legend, and it's really cool to see him young, and he's very intimidating in this movie as this gun for hire guy that Shane has to take on at the end of the film. The end of the film is very interesting because it's kind of a subject for debate where you can kind of interpret it in different ways, and so it leaves it sort of ambiguous to the way it ends, and I don't really want to say more than that, but this is a very, very special movie. It is one of the best westerns that come out of the 50s. For anyone that enjoys a good western, you should definitely seek this one out. This movie has a very good story, has very strong performances, beautiful cinematography, it's very well paced, and it is just one of those films that you kind of want to revisit over and over again just because it's so damn great. So definitely check out Shane. It is a four-star classic. This is a movie you can find on streaming, but I'm always telling people hard copies are out there for now. You should get them while they're still out there because they won't be for much longer. They're kind of going the way of the dodo. So yeah, I got mine. This is my Blu-ray. That's Alan Ladd right there. And yes, 1953's Shane. Definitely check this one out if you can. So that's going to do it for this classic movie review. Thank you all very much for watching this. I appreciate it. If you're into classic movies, if you're into this kind of thing, go ahead and hit that bell if you want to subscribe and look out for more classic movie reviews because I'm constantly talking about classic movies, kind of my thing. Every now and then I'll talk about a new movie here and there, but for the most part, it's all classic movies. So if you're into that kind of thing, hit the bell, subscribe, and like, share, comment, all that stuff. And please look out for the next classic movie reviews. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care of each other. Peace out.